Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello everyone. This is Nimer Adeeb. In this presentation, I'll talk more about the getting the green card through national interest waiver. I've been getting more questions about it after my first presentation about the match, and I thought maybe it will be better, more helpful if I give more information. But of course, that does not make me an expert in this field. It will be always maybe like if you need more information, you can always read about it online. And the other thing, you can ask a lawyer, and maybe that definitely will help more and see if you qualify for it and what's the stuff that you need more. I will divide the presentation also into sections to make it easier. I'll talk about the beginning, thinking about the whole process and getting into it, the documents that you need, getting a lawyer, the cost of the whole process, and then the process itself, since you apply and what do you have to go through. The beginning, as I said in the early presentation, that the idea of getting a green card through national interest waiver, it actually came from a lawyer himself. I did not know about the national interest waiver, and I was just finding lawyers to get it through labor, which is through my work. Uh, but then he told me about the national interest waiver. So the idea behind it is that if the immigration office see your application is in the interest of the United States, then they will skip or bypass this labor thing. They don't have to wait for like this 1 year or like some people like 3 years requirement to get you a green card. They will waive this whole process and give you the green card immediately. So that makes, of course, it's a quick way. It's always risky, but there's some requirements that you can think about first and show your CV to the lawyer, who can also tell you if you qualify or you don't qualify. Uh, so at that time, I showed my application to the lawyer, and he said we can definitely go through it. So that was the beginning. Then we started collecting the required documents. So in here, anything that shows that you have, I would not say like exceptional ability, although that's what they call it, but it definitely like, you don't have to be superhero to get it or like Einstein or anything. It just makes, if your application is interesting enough, they can give it to you. And this depends on your application first and also a good lawyer. That's a very important thing, to have a good lawyer. Yeah, because he knows all the ins and outs, what documents do you have to have in there, and all this stuff. For us as doctors, first you of course you need your medical degree from your home school, maybe a letter of good standing from your home school, any awards or anything you got from your home school. Then you have a good CV, which is for us like having publication. That's a very important thing. People who cited your publication, that shows that it's just people are recognizing your work and your work have a good impact. And they will ask you to print all the papers that have cited your publications. If you have any innovation or anything good in the medicine field, also that definitely helps, like startups and all this stuff. And then you have to have letters from people in the United States in that field, people who know about your work. And also they say, so they have like some requirements in the letters that say, talk about you and your work. And then they say, oh, his work is in the interest of the United States and he should get a green card. Some lawyers ask, like usually the more letters is the better. Usually 6 letters is like the minimum requirement, or maybe 5, I would say. Sometimes they say 3 letters from people who know you and know your work, and 3 letters from people who don't know you but know about your work. So those are the documents that you mainly need. Anything that makes the application thicker. That's what the lawyer will tell you. And yeah, I think that's actually what takes more time, to gather all these required documents. And then there's other documents for the submission process that also the lawyer would take care of. Uh, but that's the main thing that you need to give the lawyer. Those are the supported documents that actually count for your application. Then finding a lawyer. As I said, finding a lawyer is a very good lawyer is a very important thing, and there's a lot of them in the United States. A good immigration lawyer. I was very lucky with my own lawyer, and I sent a lot of people afterward to him. Actually, he was able to get them also green card to national interest. But as I said, this is not a guaranteed thing. This is something the lawyer himself will tell you. Uh, for reference, my lawyer is John Buda, Buda. He's in Los Angeles area, and he's a very good lawyer. Like, you can just email him, find his email online. It's online. You can just send him an email, call his office. It's also online, and you can mention my name, or you don't have to. Like, it doesn't make a difference. But he's I would say he's a very good lawyer. But also, like, it depends on where you are. There's a lot of good lawyers. I mean, I know a lot of other people who use different lawyers, definitely get it. So you can choose whoever you want. But it's very important to have someone that you feel you can trust, someone who's very responsive to, like, when send him an email, he will send you back, and someone who knows what he does. Just you feel everyone tell you he can do it, but just you can tell when he's with a lawyer that he actually can do it. And the lawyer will take a look at your application first before any submission process, and then he will tell you like if it fits or it doesn't fit for the whole application process. Then the cost. Usually, lawyer. First of all, you have a cost for the lawyer and the cost for the application process. The cost for a lawyer is also different based on the lawyer. Uh, I would not speak about my costs specifically because I don't know how process change from now and then. But usually from all the people I know who submitted for that, lawyers ranges between maybe 4,500 up to maybe 7,000. That's in lawyers fees. So it's maybe the average I will say 5,500, but I'm not quite sure. Like it all depends on the lawyer themselves. I would say the process is gonna cost all this costs like change over time, but it's between that range. That's the cost for the lawyer himself. So this is something you can talk about the lawyer. Some lawyer they take consultation fees for like the first time you talk to them. Some they don't. Some they charge you for every hour that you talk to them on the phone to talk about your application. Some don't. So you always be aware of that. Like not all of them ask you for cost for fees for that. And then there's a fees for the application process. Application process, there's two forms beside all your application things. There's two forms that you have to submit, and these are the forms for your green card. There's a form called I-485, and this form I believe it costs maybe around 1,000, maybe 1,200 in that range. And this is the form. It's called adjustment of status. This actually it's so you make your stay in the United States legal, and you can stay until you get your green card. And this is the form that you actually, if it's accepted finally, this will give you the green card, the physical green card. The second form is the I-40, that's related to the green card itself. That if it's accepted, that means I'll talk about it a little bit more. That means you're accepted to get a permanent residency, and this form costs about I think is $600. So for the application process itself, for the documents, it costs a little bit less than $2,000. Then you add the lawyer's fees. So the I-140, this is the one, as I said, this is the one that's for the permanent residency. And this is the one, if it's accepted, you can follow online. If it's accepted, that means you actually was accepted for the permanent residency. So you was accepted for the green card itself. Like all these forms like has basic records. They ask you about yourself and all these details. You can just download an example online and take a look at it. And then, yeah, of course, it's all supported by the documents you submit before. Then the I-458. So this is the adjustment of status form. Usually lawyers do it differently. Sometimes they submit for the I-140 first, and then if you get that accepted, then they submit for the adjustment of status. In my situation, because I was on a B1, B2 visa, so I cannot stay longer in the United States, the lawyer submitted both forms at the same time. So the I-140, of course, for the permanent residency, and the 485, this is adjustment of status. So since the time is submitted, you can stay in the United States legally, even if your B1, B2 is expired. And then for that also, when the 485 is accepted at the beginning, they give you a card. It's a work authorization card. So you're allowed to work in the United States, and then you'll be able to leave the United States. So you cannot leave the United States until that's accepted. So you have to stay in here until first time this adjustment of status is accepted. You stay legally in the United States, even regardless of the kind of visa you are in. And then after the I-140 is accepted, the I-458 would change, and then if it's fully accepted, that will give you your permanent residency. They will send you your physical green card. And even if your 140 is accepted, let's say, for the I-4580 to 58, I'm sorry, to be accepted, if you have been on J1 visa before, and you're required to leave the country. So even if your green card is accepted, you're not gonna get the 458 accepted unless you leave the country for 2 years, or you get a waiver for that to be able to actually get a physical green card. So this, if you have to go through the whole process, and this has to be finally accepted to give you physical green card. Although, like you one, as I said before, the I-140 is the one that means that you actually got the permanent residency in the United States. Uh, so as I said, like as a summary for the whole process, you have to first of all look into the requirements, look if your application fits, find a lawyer. You can find a lot of immigration lawyers online. You can read the comments about them. You can go with the lawyers I went with, and then he can go through your application, make sure that it fits for a green card, and then you can start with the forms. If you're on B1, B2 visa, or your visa is expiring, you can submit for I-140 and I-458 at the same time, so you can get adjustment of status and stay in the United States legally and be able to work. Once your I-140 is accepted, that means you accepted for permanent residency. You just have to wait afterward for the I-458 to be finally accepted and adjust your status to get a green card. That's the whole process. Usually the process itself from the beginning, from you submitting your application and to get an answer, usually is 3 months. Sometimes it goes up to 6 months to get a final answer. After the answer, usually it takes like 3 months to get your actual green card. They have to make sure that everything else is fine with your application. As I said, the requirement for your application, you can find it online. Mainly for us, you have try to get more publication, something that try to make your application more unique, and also find more people, more connections to be able to give you letters to support your application. And that makes it. So I hope that was very helpful. As I said, it's always more helpful to read more about it and find a lawyer to talk to. Good luck.